What if I told you that there is a civilization on this planet that is over 5,000 years old? One that invented paper, printing, gunpowder, and the compass. 4 things that literally changed the course of human history. A civilization that built a wall so long it stretches across mountains and deserts for over 13,000 miles. A country that was the largest economy in the world for most of recorded history, then fell into poverty and humiliation, and then, within a single lifetime, rose again to become the second most powerful nation on Earth. A country of 1.4 billion people, ruled by one party, one ideology, and increasingly, one man. This is not a story from a fantasy novel. This is real. This is China. The People's Republic of China is one of the oldest civilizations and one of the most powerful countries on Earth today. China is a land of extraordinary contradictions. Ancient temples standing next to futuristic skyscrapers. Deeply traditional values living alongside one of the most technologically advanced societies in the world. It is a country that the entire world watches, fears, admires, trades with, and argues about. Whether you are a student, a traveler, a history lover, or simply someone who wants to understand the world better, you need to understand China. So let us begin. The history of China is one of the oldest and most continuous in all of human civilization. Chinese civilization began along the banks of the Yellow River, called the Huanghe, more than 5,000 years ago. The earliest Chinese dynasties, the Xia, the Shang, and the Zhou, built the foundations of Chinese culture, philosophy, language, and agriculture that would define the country for thousands of years to come. China was not always one unified country. For much of its early history, it was a collection of competing states and kingdoms, constantly at war with one another. This period, known as the Warring States period, produced some of the greatest thinkers in human history. Confucius, who lived around 500 BC, taught about family loyalty, respect for elders, and moral virtue. His ideas shaped Chinese society so deeply that they are still felt in Chinese life today, more than 2,500 years later. Laozi developed Taoism, a philosophy of living in harmony with nature. Sun Tzu wrote The Art of War, a military strategy book still studied by generals and business leaders around the world. In 221 BC, a powerful ruler named Qin Shi Huang conquered all the rival states and unified China for the very first time. He became the first emperor of China and gave the country its name, the Qin dynasty, which Western languages transformed into China. He standardized the currency, the writing system, and the measurements across the entire country. He also began the construction of what would eventually become the Great Wall of China, built to protect the country from invasion by nomadic tribes from the north. The dynasties that followed, the Han, the Tang, the Song, the Ming, and the Qing, each left enormous marks on Chinese culture and history. During the Tang dynasty, from 618 to 907 AD, China was arguably the most advanced civilization on Earth. Its capital city Chang'an, modern-day Xi'an, was the largest city in the world, a cosmopolitan center of art, poetry, trade, and science. The Silk Road trade routes connected China to Central Asia, the Middle East, and eventually Europe, allowing the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures across the ancient world. The invention of paper, woodblock printing, gunpowder, and the compass all came from China during this era of greatness. These 4 inventions quite literally transformed human civilization. Paper made knowledge portable. Printing made knowledge accessible to everyone. Gunpowder changed warfare forever. The compass opened the seas to navigation and exploration. Without China's contributions, the world as we know it simply would not exist. But great civilizations also fall. By the 1800s, the once mighty Chinese Empire had grown weak. European colonial powers, Britain, France, Germany, and others, forced China into humiliating treaties after defeating it in a series of wars. The British fought and won the Opium Wars, forcing China to import opium, a destructive drug, into its population. China lost territory, lost pride, and lost its place as a world power. The Chinese people call this period the century of humiliation, and it remains a deep wound in the national consciousness to this day. In 1912, the last Chinese emperor, a young boy named Puyi, was removed from the throne, ending over 2,000 years of imperial rule. A republic was declared. But China descended into chaos, torn apart by warlords, foreign invasions, and civil war. Japan invaded China in 1937 during World War II, committing horrific atrocities including the Nanjing Massacre, in which hundreds of thousands of Chinese civilians were killed. After Japan was defeated in 1945, China's civil war between the nationalist government and the communist forces of Mao Zedong resumed. In 1949, Mao and the Communist Party won. On October 1, 1949, Mao stood in Tiananmen Square in Beijing and declared the founding of the People's Republic of China. The nationalists fled to the island of Taiwan, where they established the Republic of China, a separate government that exists to this day, and whose status remains one of the most sensitive political issues in the world. Under Mao Zedong, China went through enormous and often violent change. The Great Leap Forward, a campaign to rapidly industrialize the country, ended in a catastrophic famine that killed tens of millions of people. The Cultural Revolution from 1966 to 1976 was a political campaign that destroyed temples, burned books, persecuted intellectuals, and tore communities apart in the name of revolutionary purity. Mao's era was one of radical ambition, terrible suffering, and profound transformation. When Mao died in 1976, a new leader named Deng Xiaoping eventually took power. Deng made a historic decision. He opened China to the outside world and introduced market reforms, allowing private business and foreign investment. The result was the most extraordinary economic transformation in the history of the world. Hundreds of millions of Chinese people were lifted out of poverty within a single generation. China became the world's factory, manufacturing goods for the entire planet. Cities that were small towns in the 1980s became megacities with stunning skylines by the 2000s. In 1989, pro-democracy protesters gathered in Tiananmen Square in Beijing, demanding political reform. The Chinese government crushed the protest with military force. The image of a single man standing in front of a column of tanks became one of the most iconic photographs of the 20th century. The Chinese government has never officially acknowledged what happened, and the event remains heavily censored inside China to this day. China joined the World Trade Organization in 2001, accelerating its integration into the global economy. By 2010, China had overtaken Japan to become the world's second-largest economy. In 2012, Xi Jinping rose to power, and China entered a new and very different chapter of its story. China is located in the continent of Asia, specifically in East Asia. It is the fourth largest country in the world by total area, covering approximately 9.6 million square kilometers. It shares borders with 14 countries, more neighboring countries than almost any other nation on Earth. To the north lies Russia and Mongolia. To the northeast are North Korea and Russia. To the northwest are Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. To the west are Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. To the southwest are Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, Laos, and Vietnam. China has a long eastern coastline facing the Pacific Ocean, the Yellow Sea, the East China Sea, and the South China Sea. The geography of China is breathtakingly diverse. The east is dominated by fertile plains and river valleys, the great farmlands that have fed the Chinese civilization for thousands of years. The Yangtze River, the longest river in Asia, and the Yellow River are the two great rivers of China, both flowing from west to east across the country. To the west and southwest, the land rises dramatically into some of the highest mountains and plateaus on Earth. The Tibetan Plateau, known as the roof of the world, is the highest plateau in the world, with an average elevation of over 4,000 meters. The Himalayas, home to Mount Everest, the tallest mountain on Earth, form China's southwestern border with Nepal and India. The Gobi Desert in the north and northwest is one of the largest and coldest deserts in the world. The capital of China is Beijing. It is the political, cultural, and educational center of the country. The largest city by population and economic output is Shanghai, China's financial capital and one of the most modern and dynamic cities on Earth. Other major cities include Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Chengdu, Wuhan, Xi'an, and Chongqing, which is one of the largest cities in the world by population, home to over 30 million people. China's population as of 2026 is approximately 1.41 billion people, making it the second most populous country in the world, just recently surpassed by India, which became the world's most populous country in 2023. China represents about 17% of the entire human population on Earth. The median age of the Chinese population is around 40.6 years, rising steadily as the population ages. For decades, China enforced the famous one-child policy, a government rule that limited most families to having only one child. This policy helped slow population growth, but also created serious long-term problems. China's birth rate has fallen sharply. In 2025, only 7.92 million babies were born, while 11.31 million people died, meaning China's population is now actually shrinking. The government has reversed course completely. It now actively encourages families to have 2 or even 3 children. But changing a demographic trend is not as easy as changing a policy. China's population is not evenly distributed. The eastern coastal cities and river valleys are extremely densely populated, some of the most crowded places on Earth. The western regions, Tibet, Xinjiang, and the Gobi Desert areas, are vast and mostly empty. About 92% of China's population belongs to the Han Chinese ethnic group. The remaining 8% are made up of 55 officially recognized minority ethnic groups, including the Zhuang, the Tibetans, the Uyghurs, the Mongolians, and many others. China is officially an atheist state. The government of the Communist Party does not promote religion and in some cases restricts it. However, religion and spiritual philosophy are deeply embedded in Chinese culture and history, and hundreds of millions of Chinese people hold spiritual beliefs and practices. The most widely practiced spiritual traditions in China are Buddhism and Taoism, along with Chinese folk religion, a rich blend of ancestor worship, local gods, and ancient spiritual rituals that has no formal name but is practiced in homes and temples across the country. Confucianism, while technically a philosophy rather than a religion, functions almost like a moral and spiritual code for many Chinese people, shaping how they think about family, society, and proper behavior. Buddhism came to China from India over 2,000 years ago and has been woven into Chinese culture ever since. China has some of the most beautiful Buddhist temples and monasteries in the world. Christianity has also grown significantly in China over the past few decades, with estimates suggesting there are now between 60 and 100 million Christians in the country. Islam is practiced by around 20 to 25 million Chinese Muslims, concentrated especially in the northwestern region of Xinjiang and in the Hui Muslim communities found across the country. The Chinese government's relationship with religion is complicated and often tense. Religious institutions must register with the government. The practice of Tibetan Buddhism under the Dalai Lama is heavily restricted. The situation of the Uyghur Muslim minority in Xinjiang has drawn intense international criticism and condemnation, with many governments and human rights organizations calling China's treatment of Uyghurs a serious human rights violation. The Chinese government strongly denies these accusations. Chinese culture is one of the oldest and richest in the history of humanity. It has shaped the cultures of Korea, Japan, Vietnam, and much of Southeast Asia. Chinese art, literature, music, philosophy, cuisine, and architecture have spread across the world and influenced billions of people for thousands of years. The most important festival in China is the Chinese New Year, also called the Spring Festival. It is the biggest annual celebration in the world. Hundreds of millions of people travel home to be with their families in what is known as the largest annual human migration on Earth. Celebrations last for 15 days and include fireworks, dragon and lion dances, family feasts, the giving of red envelopes filled with money as gifts, and spectacular lantern festivals. The exact date of Chinese New Year changes every year because it follows the lunar calendar, but it falls between late January and mid-February. The Mid-Autumn Festival, also called the Moon Festival, is celebrated in September or October when the moon is at its fullest and brightest. Families gather together to admire the moon, tell ancient stories, and eat mooncakes, round pastries filled with sweet lotus paste or red bean paste. The Dragon Boat Festival is celebrated in the summer with thrilling dragon boat races on rivers and lakes across the country. The Qingming Festival, also known as Tomb Sweeping Day, is a day when families visit the graves of their ancestors to clean them, offer food, and burn paper offerings as a sign of respect for the dead. Traditional Chinese clothing includes the hanfu, the ancient flowing robes worn for thousands of years, and the qipao or cheongsam, a fitted silk dress for women that became iconic in the early 20th century. Today, most Chinese people dress in modern Western-style clothing for everyday life. However, traditional dress is worn during festivals, celebrations, and cultural events. China also has a booming fashion industry, with Shanghai emerging as a major global fashion city. The arts in China are extraordinarily rich. Chinese calligraphy, the art of beautiful writing, is considered one of the highest art forms. Chinese painting, ceramics, silk weaving, jade carving, and opera have centuries of tradition behind them. Chinese martial arts, kung fu, are practiced around the world. And Chinese cinema has produced internationally acclaimed directors and films that have reached audiences on every continent. China's nightlife scene has transformed dramatically over the past 2 decades, going from virtually non-existent to world-class in many of its major cities. Shanghai is without question China's nightlife capital. The Bund, the famous waterfront promenade, glitters with the reflections of the illuminated skyline across the Huangpu River, creating one of the most spectacular urban views on Earth at night. Nanjing Road is a sea of lights, shopping, and street food. The city has sophisticated cocktail bars, jazz clubs, rooftop terraces, world-class nightclubs, and live music venues to rival any city in the world. Shanghai's nightlife is cosmopolitan, stylish, and international. Beijing has a very different nightlife energy. Sanlitun is the city's main entertainment district, packed with bars, clubs, restaurants, and international visitors. The Hohai Lake area is lined with mellow bars and live music venues where people sit outdoors on summer evenings listening to music and watching the lantern-lit lake. The 798 Art District combines galleries, cafes, and underground music venues in a unique creative atmosphere. Chengdu, in the southwest, has a famously relaxed nightlife culture centered around tea houses, a uniquely Chinese institution where people gather to sip tea, play mahjong, listen to traditional Sichuan opera, and simply enjoy the company of friends for hours. Chengdu people are known throughout China for their love of leisure and pleasure. Guangzhou and Shenzhen in the south have thriving club scenes with a strong international influence from neighboring Hong Kong. Hong Kong itself, a special administrative region of China, remains one of Asia's most vibrant nightlife cities, with its legendary bar districts of Lan Kwai Fong and Wan Chai drawing locals and tourists alike. Chinese cuisine is one of the greatest and most diverse food cultures in the history of the world. It is not one cuisine. It is a vast collection of regional food traditions, each as distinct and as rich as an entire national cuisine in its own right. There are 8 major recognized regional cuisines in China, and within each of those, infinite local variations. Cantonese cuisine from the southern province of Guangdong is the style most people outside China associate with Chinese food: dim sum, stir-fries, roast duck, and steamed seafood. Dim sum, a tradition of small dishes served in bamboo steamers, is one of the most beloved food experiences in the world, enjoyed at long, leisurely weekend brunches. Sichuan cuisine from the southwest is famous for its incredibly bold and fiery flavors, driven by Sichuan peppercorns that create a unique numbing sensation on the tongue. Mapo tofu, soft tofu in a spicy, oily sauce, and Sichuan hot pot, a bubbling cauldron of spicy broth in which you cook meat, vegetables, and noodles at the table, are beloved across China and increasingly popular around the world. Beijing is the home of Peking duck, perhaps the most famous dish in all of Chinese cooking. Crispy, lacquered roast duck sliced at the table and wrapped in thin pancakes with spring onions and hoisin sauce. It is an experience that visitors to Beijing never forget. The Chinese also make extraordinary noodles, from hand-pulled Lanzhou beef noodles to the thick, chewy knife-cut noodles of Shanxi province. Dumplings, called jiaozi in Mandarin, are one of China's most universally loved foods. These small parcels of dough filled with pork, vegetables, or shrimp are eaten boiled, steamed, or pan-fried, and are particularly associated with Chinese New Year celebrations. Xiaolongbao, soup dumplings from Shanghai filled with hot broth and pork, have become internationally famous. Other iconic foods include kung pao chicken, sweet and sour pork, egg fried rice, spring rolls, char siu barbecue pork, congee rice porridge, and the extraordinary variety of Chinese street foods found in night markets across the country. Rice is the staple of southern China. Wheat noodles and steamed buns are the staple of northern China. Tea has been drunk in China for over 4,000 years, long before the rest of the world knew what it was. China produces some of the finest teas in the world, and Chinese tea culture, with its beautiful ceremonies and hundreds of varieties, is a world of its own. Because China is such an enormous country, it has an extraordinary variety of climates. You can find almost every type of weather on Earth somewhere in China. Northern China, including Beijing, has a continental climate with cold, dry winters and hot summers. Beijing winters can be bitterly cold, with temperatures dropping well below freezing and occasional heavy snowfall. Summers are hot and humid, with frequent thunderstorms. The famous yellow dust storms that blow in from the Gobi Desert in spring are a recurring challenge for northern Chinese cities. Central China, along the Yangtze River Valley, including the city of Wuhan, has a humid subtropical climate with 4 distinct seasons. Summers are intensely hot and humid. Wuhan is famously called one of China's 3 furnaces because of its brutal summer heat. Winters are cold and damp. Southern China, including Guangzhou and Shenzhen, has a tropical and subtropical climate with hot, wet summers and mild winters. This region receives heavy rainfall during the monsoon season from May through September. Typhoons, powerful tropical storms, regularly strike the southern coast between June and October, sometimes with devastating force. Western China has some of the most extreme climates on Earth. The Tibetan Plateau has thin air, intense solar radiation, and freezing temperatures year-round. The Gobi and Taklamakan deserts in Xinjiang are brutally dry and experience extreme temperature swings, scorching hot in summer and bitterly cold in winter. The most pleasant times to visit most of China are spring, from March through May, and autumn, from September through November, when temperatures are comfortable and the landscapes are beautiful. Cherry blossoms in spring and the golden foliage of autumn are 2 of China's most spectacular natural displays. The official currency of China is the renminbi, which means people's currency in Chinese. The basic unit of the renminbi is called the yuan, symbolized as yen or CNY. The yuan is divided into 10 jiao, and each jiao is further divided into 10 fun. Banknotes come in denominations of 1, 5, 10, 20, 50, and 100 yuan. The 100 yuan note features the portrait of Mao Zedong on one side and the Great Hall of the People on the other. The value of the renminbi is carefully controlled by the Chinese government and the People's Bank of China, China's central bank. Unlike most major currencies which float freely on international markets, China manages the exchange rate of its currency to maintain stability and support its export industries. This currency management has long been a source of trade tension with the United States and other countries. In recent years, China has been pushing to make the yuan an international reserve currency, competing with the US dollar for global financial dominance. China has established the cross-border interbank payment system as an alternative to the Western-dominated financial messaging system. It has also been developing a digital yuan, a government-issued digital currency that could eventually give China enormous control over financial transactions both at home and potentially abroad. Inside China, cash payments have become almost obsolete in cities. The country has embraced mobile payments more thoroughly than almost any other nation on Earth. Nearly all transactions, from buying a bowl of noodles at a street stall to paying rent, are made through smartphone apps like WeChat Pay and Alipay. China is arguably the most cashless society in the world. The People's Liberation Army of China, known as the PLA, is the largest military force in the world by number of active personnel, with approximately 2 million active duty soldiers. It is the military wing of the Chinese Communist Party and answers to the Central Military Commission, headed by President Xi Jinping himself. China's official defense budget for 2026 is $281 billion, a 7% increase from the previous year and the 11th consecutive year of single-digit growth. This makes China the second largest military spender in the world, behind the United States. However, many defense analysts believe China's actual military spending is significantly higher than the officially reported figure, since many military-related expenses are hidden in other budget categories. Under Xi Jinping, China's military has undergone the most dramatic modernization in its history. The PLA Navy has been rapidly expanded and now operates 3 aircraft carriers, the Liaoning, the Shandong, and the Fujian, which entered service in 2025. China is building more warships, submarines, and military vessels at a faster pace than any other country in the world. The PLA Air Force has developed advanced stealth fighter jets. China has an estimated 600 nuclear warheads as of 2025, and the U.S. Department of Defense estimates this could reach 1,000 by 2030. China's missile forces are among the most advanced in the world. Its Dongfeng series of ballistic missiles includes weapons capable of striking targets across the entire Pacific Ocean, specifically designed to threaten U.S. aircraft carriers. China has also developed significant capabilities in cyber warfare, space militarization, and artificial intelligence-based weapon systems. However, China's military modernization has been complicated by a massive corruption scandal within the PLA. Xi Jinping has purged over 100 senior military officers since 2022, including 2 members of the Central Military Commission, the top command body of the entire military, in what is the most sweeping military purge in China since the Cultural Revolution. This has raised serious questions about the reliability and actual combat effectiveness of the PLA. China is one of the world's most spectacular travel destinations, with a depth of history, natural beauty, and cultural richness that is almost impossible to fully explore in a single lifetime. The Great Wall of China is perhaps the most iconic human-made structure on Earth. Stretching over 13,000 miles across mountains, valleys, and deserts in northern China, it was built over many centuries by successive Chinese dynasties to protect against invasion. Visiting the wall, especially the beautifully restored sections at Muxianyu or Jinshanling near Beijing, is a profound and unforgettable experience. The Forbidden City in Beijing is the world's largest and best-preserved imperial palace complex. For nearly 500 years, it served as the home of Chinese emperors and their thousands of concubines, servants, and officials. Today, it is a museum housing millions of priceless imperial artifacts. Standing in its vast courtyards, surrounded by its magnificent red walls and golden roofs, you feel the weight of Chinese history in a way that no book can fully convey. The Terracotta Army in Xi'an is one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in history. In 1974, farmers digging a well accidentally discovered thousands of life-sized clay soldiers, horses, and chariots, an entire army buried underground to accompany the first Emperor Qin Shi Huang into the afterlife over 2,000 years ago. Each soldier has a unique face. No two are identical. It is extraordinary. Guilin and the Li River in southern China offer some of the most surreal and beautiful landscapes on Earth. Dramatic limestone mountains called karst peaks rising vertically from flat green rice paddies and winding rivers, looking like a classical Chinese painting come to life. The city of Zhangjiajie in Hunan province has floating pillar mountains that inspired the floating mountains in the movie Avatar. The historic city of Chengdu is home to the giant panda, one of the world's most beloved animals. The Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding gives visitors the once-in-a-lifetime experience of watching giant pandas in person. Tibet, the roof of the world, offers the Potala Palace, ancient monasteries, and some of the most dramatic high-altitude landscapes on the planet. Shanghai's skyline, Hong Kong's Victoria Harbor, the ancient water towns near Suzhou, the Yellow Mountains. China's travel treasures are almost endless. China is a one-party state governed by the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP. There are no free elections for national leadership, no opposition political parties, and no free press. The Communist Party has ruled China without interruption since 1949. All significant political power ultimately flows from the top of the party hierarchy. The current leader of China is Xi Jinping. He holds 3 of the most powerful positions in the country simultaneously: General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party, President of the People's Republic of China, and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, which controls the military. He came to power in 2012 and has steadily concentrated more personal power than any Chinese leader since Mao Zedong himself. In 2018, Xi engineered the removal of the 2-term limit on the presidency, a limit that had been put in place specifically to prevent any future leader from becoming as powerful as Mao. With this limit removed, Xi can theoretically rule China for the rest of his life. He is currently serving his third term as leader and is widely expected to move into a fourth term when the next party congress is held in 2027, with no named successor in sight. Xi Jinping's governing philosophy is known as Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. This political ideology has been written into the Communist Party's constitution, making it the official guiding principle of the entire country. It emphasizes party control over all aspects of society, national security, technological self-reliance, and the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. The goal of restoring China to what she sees as its rightful place as the leading civilization in the world. Under Xi, the government has significantly tightened its control over Chinese society. Internet censorship, known as the Great Firewall of China, blocks access to Google, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and most Western news websites. Surveillance technology, including facial recognition cameras in virtually every public space, gives the government unprecedented ability to monitor its citizens. Freedom of speech, assembly, and the press are heavily restricted. Human rights organizations around the world have documented serious abuses under Xi's rule. She has also launched sweeping anti-corruption campaigns that have prosecuted hundreds of thousands of officials. Supporters say this campaign has cleaned up a deeply corrupt system. Critics say it has also been used as a political tool to remove rivals and consolidate Xi's personal power. On the international stage, Xi has pursued an assertive foreign policy. China has built artificial islands in the South China Sea and claimed them as its sovereign territory, a move that has caused serious tensions with neighboring countries and the United States. China's relationship with Taiwan, the self-governing island that Beijing claims as its own territory, remains one of the most dangerous potential flashpoints in the world. She has repeatedly said that reunification of Taiwan with mainland China is a historical inevitability and has refused to rule out the use of military force. Understanding public opinion in China is genuinely difficult because the Chinese government does not allow free, independent public opinion polling or any meaningful political opposition. There is no free press to hold the leadership accountable. Open criticism of Xi Jinping or the Communist Party can result in serious consequences, including arrest and imprisonment. Within China, a significant portion of the population appears to genuinely support Xi Jinping and the Communist Party. Many Chinese people, particularly older generations who remember the extreme poverty and chaos of earlier decades, feel deep gratitude for the dramatic improvements in living standards that have occurred under Communist Party rule. They see a strong central government as essential to maintaining stability and national dignity. The sense of national pride over China's rise from poverty and humiliation to global power is real and deeply felt. Chinese state media, which includes all major television channels, newspapers, and news websites, presents an overwhelmingly positive picture of Xi and his leadership. Young people who have only ever known prosperity and stability may genuinely believe that the Communist Party has delivered a good life for the Chinese people, because in material terms, for many of them, it has. However, there is also significant discontent that exists largely in private, expressed in whispers, in private messages, in underground online communities before the censors delete them. Young urban Chinese, the so-called lying flat generation, have become deeply disillusioned with the pressure to work brutally long hours, the inability to afford housing in expensive cities, and the bleak job market for university graduates. The COVID-19 lockdowns from 2020 to 2022, among the strictest in the world, caused enormous anger and resentment, culminating in the rare public protests known as the White Paper protests in late 2022. The economic slowdown, the collapse of the property market, and rising youth unemployment have all eroded confidence among younger Chinese people. Outside China, the view of Xi Jinping and the Communist Party is largely negative across democratic countries, particularly in the United States, Europe, Japan, South Korea, and Australia. Surveys consistently show that majorities in most Western democracies view China unfavorably, citing concerns about human rights, Taiwan, the South China Sea, trade practices, and the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. In developing countries, particularly in Africa, Latin America, and parts of Asia, views of China tend to be more positive, partly because of Chinese investment and infrastructure projects through the Belt and Road Initiative. China in 2026 is a country of immense achievements and serious challenges, a nation at a pivotal and uncertain moment in its extraordinary story. Economically, China remains a powerhouse. Its GDP of approximately 20 to 21 trillion US dollars makes it the world's second largest economy. It is the world's largest manufacturer, the world's largest exporter, and the world's largest consumer of energy. It is the largest trading partner of more countries than any other nation on Earth. Its technology sector, companies like Huawei, Alibaba, Tencent, ByteDance, BYD, and DJI, are globally competitive and in some fields globally dominant. China leads the world in the production of electric vehicles, solar panels, and high-speed rail. Its infrastructure, bridges, tunnels, airports, and highways, is among the most impressive ever built. On the world stage, China in 2026 is more assertive and more confident than at any point in the past century. It presents itself as an alternative model to Western liberal democracy, proof that a country can achieve prosperity and stability without elections or free speech. It is actively building institutions and alliances to challenge Western dominance in international organizations, trade, finance, and technology. The competition between China and the United States for economic supremacy, technological leadership, and geopolitical influence is the defining rivalry of the 21st century. And that competition is intensifying every single year. The story of China is not finished. It is, in fact, at one of its most consequential chapters. The decisions made in Beijing over the next decade will shape not just the 1.4 billion people who live in China, they will shape the entire world. From the banks of the Yellow River 5,000 years ago to the gleaming skyscrapers of Shanghai today. From the invention of paper and gunpowder to the development of artificial intelligence and hypersonic missiles. From the humiliation of colonial defeat to the pride of becoming the world's second superpower. China's story is unlike any other in human history. It is ancient and modern, beautiful and troubled, deeply human and utterly extraordinary. That was your complete documentary on the People's Republic of China. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If this documentary gave you a deeper and more honest understanding of this remarkable country, please give this video a like right now. Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so you never miss our next documentary. Share this video with one friend today and drop a comment below. Tell us what surprised you most about China. We read every single comment. We will see you in the next one.